What's up guys, upcoming rap sensation TrippedUp back at it with another video. Not too long ago I made a video just like this ranking all the scythe skins, so I thought I'd do it again. Actually, come to think of it, how long ago was that video? Okay, let's see here, uploads, 7 months! I refuse to believe that was over half a year ago. That's just not right. Now, the reason I chose scythes in my original tier list video is because, well, I'm a scythe main, so naturally I'm the most invested in scythe skins. So, since my second weapon is spear, naturally I'd be doing spear next, right? Well, I tried to, but ranking spear skins put me to sleep. I don't know, it's not that I don't like spear skins, there are definitely some that are really good, but most of them look the same and are pretty boring, so doing an entire video on that, not worth it. And that's why today, I'll be ranking every axe skin in Brawlhalla. Before we begin, I just want to say that for my scythe tier list video, there were 78 different scythe skins. That seems like a lot, I know, but surely axe can't have that many more. 113. Yes indeed, I had to download 113 different images for this video. Have you subscribed yet? You should do that. Okay, with that lengthy introduction out of the way, let's get into it. Let's kick things off with a sign from above. Clever name, but the real comedic value comes from the fact that axe players love to spam dare, hence, a sign from above. Now, what exactly does that sign say? I don't know, nerf bow probably. Anyways, this is going in B tier. Next up is Azer Blade? I don't really know, but it's pretty plain, so this will go in C tier. Next is Airship Anchor. Once again, pretty plain, nothing noteworthy, so another C tier. Next is Albiter's Reach. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's nothing special, but at the same time, it has a nice little design to it, so I'll give it a B tier. Next is the Asgardian Axe. You know, I'm getting pretty tired of calling things plain. That being said, this is pretty plain, so I'll put it in C tier. Next up is the Axe-Bladed Multi-Tool. To me, the name of this just sounds like product placement. Do you want to try our Axe-Bladed Multi-Tool? It's great at axing, drilling. That's it. If you're gonna call it a multi-purpose tool, maybe give it more than just two purposes. Anyways, this is going in D tier. Moving on to the Axe of Might. Well, I think I might put it in the C tier. I'm sorry. Next is the Axe of Regrowth. I really like this skin, plus it's animated, which makes it even better. However, I'm only putting it in A tier because there's an even better animated skin coming up. Next is the Axe of the World Eagle. God, that was a mouthful. This is like the most default looking axe ever, so properly we'll give it a C tier. Next up is the Axe You Out. Listen up boys, if you want to ask out a girl and you want them to say yes, Brawlhalla is here with the advice. All you have to do is get an axe and roses, put them together, and boom, they'll say yes. Actually, maybe that's not the best idea. Maybe this is why all Brawlhalla players are single. Next is the Barbara Axe. It's pretty plain, and I put it in C tier, but I'm bored of putting things in C tier, so this will go in D tier. Next up is the Battle Axe. I can appreciate that they gave the most plain name to the most plain looking axe, so therefore, D tier. Next up is the Breckoning Bramble. I do like the glowing edge to it, plus the color scheme in general is pretty cool, so I'll give it a B tier. Coming up next is the animated skin I talked about earlier, the Bifrost Edge. Now this is how you do an animated skin. This thing is perfect, S tier all the way. Next up is the Big Clipper. It is indeed a big clipper. B tier. Moving on to the Blooming Blade. The skin by itself is pretty good. However, thanks to Snowy, the only thing I can think of when looking at this skin is Rayman, so therefore I can't give it anything higher than a B. Next is the Boiling Point. You see, BMG, you messed up. This would have been a B tier skin, but the title makes no sense. It's metal, so why is it called the Boiling Point when it should be the Melting Point? You really need to work on your logistics, BMG. Anyways, this is going in C tier. Next up is the Bone Cleaver. This is a very boring skin, not much color, and it's going to be our first E tier. Up next is the Bump in the Night. It's a nice design, has a good color scheme, I'll give this an A tier. Next is the Burning Enlightenment. I think this skin is pretty clever. It has the color scheme like it's a candelabra, and it looks pretty good overall, so I'll give this a B tier. Next is the Butcher's Delight. I'm not exactly sure who the Butcher is torturing with this thing, but I feel bad for them, because this does not look good. I'll give it a D tier. Now moving forward to the Caliber Axe. The design is cool, but the colors look a little washed out and faded, so I'll give it an overall C tier. Next is the Ceremonial Axe. Not only does this axe have a bizarre design, but it comes from this Ulgrim skin. Ugh. This is just gonna get an E tier. Moving on to the... Wait a minute. You can't fool me. Chocolate Cherry Sunburst? Yeah, more like Blooming Blade. Did you truly believe you could get a better placement if you slightly changed your appearance? F tier. With that abomination out of the way, we're moving on to the Chopsicle. I can't lie, I'm a bit of a sucker for ice skins, so I'm putting this in A tier. Next is the Crystal Whip Axe. I know it's part of Amethyst's character design, but I would have preferred the axe without the whip. Either way, it's a good skin, so I'll give it a B tier. Next is the Darkheart Axe. A consistent theme that I'm noticing throughout all of the Darkheart skins is that they're all mid. C tier. Next up is the Death Rattle. Sorry I had to yawn there because this is another boring skin, just put it in C tier. Moving on to the Demonic Slab. There's nothing demonic about this. Oh my god, just throw it in E tier, it sucks. Next up is the Devious Axe. Listen, I cannot hear the word devious without thinking of...
Hey man, you already know who it is, your boy Lil.
Although the devious lick trend was bad, at least kids at your school weren't drawing the Lincoln Memorial in their own True story. Anyway, this is going in C tier. Moving on to the Dimensional Divide. A simple yet effective design and cool colors. I'll give this a B tier. Okay, this next skin name is called Disgrace. They must have really hated the artist that made this to call it Disgrace. Anyways, in honor of the name, I'll give it a D tier. Moving on to Elira's End. This skin kind of reminds me of that guy with all the eyes on his arm. You know, from Naruto. I don't watch Naruto. Apologies to any Naruto fans out there, but I'm giving this an F tier. It does not look good. Next is the Emerald Blade. The colors are okay, but honestly, it's nothing crazy, so let's put it in C tier. Next up is the Eternal Blade. Whoop-de-doo. It's another plain-looking, unnoteworthy, low-effort design with little to no color skin. Throwing this one in the D tier. Moving on to the Extra Large Scalpel. This? A scalpel? This is what you call a scalpel? Okay, Chainsaw Man. Who in the world would call this a scalpel? Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Anyways, this skin is gross. This gets an E tier. Moving on to the Eye of Elira. I'm gonna be straight with you. That eye is, pretty creepy. It's like staring into my... Well, that was perfectly normal. Anyways, getting an E tier. Next is the Face Melter. If I was gonna hit someone with a guitar, this would be the one to do it with.
Give me security. I'm sorry, man. The guy f***ing came at me. What do you think, folks?
No way!
See, I guarantee you they would have backed him if he had used this guitar rather than that one. Anyways, this is a definite A tier. And we're right back to the boring skins with the Fate Cleaver. I don't even feel like explaining why this is a D tier, it's just a waste of my breath. Okay, next up we have the Final Breath. Wow, such a dramatic name for a boring skin. It's literally a downgraded version of this skin. And this skin already sucks. Definitely gonna be an F tier on this one. Moving along to the First Down. I appreciate the originality, but I still don't think it looks that good. We'll give it a C tier. Next up is the Flaming Oath. For once, the contrasting colors actually look nice, and I'll give it a B tier for that. Up next is the Flashfire. This skin is fire, no pun intended. Honestly, it's such a good skin that it might be my favorite in the game. The only problem? It comes from a Ragnir skin that's exclusive to the Elemental chest. So, if you feel like gambling away all your mammoth coins just to end up not getting the skin, go right ahead. But hey, at least it's a better investment than Fenrir Mordex. Obviously, this is getting an S tier. Next is the Foe Splitter. 2 words, D tier. Moving on to Giant's Bane. Who in their right mind would pay 60 mammoth coins for this? Half of the default axes look better than this one. I'm just gonna leave this in F tier and pray to God that I never have to see this in game. Now, let's move forward to the Gilded Glory. Oh my god, bro wants to be the gold forged axe so badly, but it's just not working for him. D tier. And hey, coincidentally following that is the gold forged axe. Pretty much like all gold forged skins, it looks good, but I like Skyforged better, so I'm giving this a B tier. Up next is Golem's Heart, and immediately moving on because this is another C tier. Okay, next up is Grass Axe. Now, believe it or not, but this axe is made completely out of grass. While that may sound cool, logistically, this axe is completely harmless. Therefore, I'm gonna have to stick this one in the C tier. Now, moving on to the Hack and Slash. Now, I want to sit down real quick and have a talk with you, one-on-one, as a viewer. What is this? No, seriously, what is this? You cannot tell me that this is supposed to be an axe skin. It is a hockey stick and some sort of cleaver taped together. Let that sink in. Pretty sure I don't have to explain where this one's going. Moving on. Next is the Half Halberd. You know, usually I wouldn't put this in E tier, but I am beyond tired of ranking so many mid skins. It's ridiculous. Next is the Heartbreaker. C tier. Finally, we come back to a good skin, and we have the Heaven Cleaver. I'm not sure what it is about the skin that relates to heaven, but hey, I don't really care, because at the end of the day, the skin looks awesome. This is definitely going in the A tier for me. Okay, now moving on to the Hit Hard. Really? That's the name you gave it? I'm not even sure what they're going for with this design. Is that the Spider-Man logo? BMG, you can't be copying other franchises like that. I'll give this a D tier. Not because I think it deserves it, but I really want a Spider-Man crossover. Moving on to the Holiday Fear. Pfft, please. The only holiday fear I have is hearing "All I Want for Christmas Is You" over and over again. Speaking of which... Anyways, I'll give this one a B tier. Next up is the Hook Setter. Well, there is indeed a hook. Just gonna put this in C tier. Next up is Hunter's Reach. That is the most caveman barbaric looking axe I've ever seen. This looks like it got imported from the assets of Rust. And I hate Rust. I will be putting this straight into the F tier. Next up is the Hyper Turbo Axe. I can't lie, half the enjoyment of this skin comes from saying its name in an overly exaggerated voice. For the skin itself, the colors don't blend too well for me, so I'll put this in C tier. Next is the In Case of Brawl. Now, I've bashed on way too many axe skins for being too simplistic or boring, but this is simplistic done correctly. Some may disagree, but hey, this is my tier list. I'm putting this in A tier. And then we move right back to the simplistic skins that are bad with the Iron Standard. Pretty sure I summed it all up right there. D tier. Moving on to the Ivaldi design. The shape is pretty irregular, but I kinda like it, so I'll give this a C tier. And then we have Ivaldi's wings. Okay, Ivaldi, real talk. Has anyone ever told you to stick to a theme? These two color schemes could not be more contrasting. They are exact opposites. Why did you pick these two? I'm just gonna put this in C tier, right next to the other Ivaldi skin, so you can see just how contrasting they are. Next is the Jade Crescent. The design is pretty good, and I do like the shade of blue, so I'll give this a B tier. Next up is the Jupiter Rising. Honestly, I've never been a fan of Season 5's weapons. It kinda reminds me of Buzz Lightyear, but not the Toy Story version, the Lightyear version. In other words, it sucks.
I can provide sleep sounds if you like. I have several options.
No. White noise is fine.
Very well.
Good night, Socks.
Good night, Buzz.
Can I put my balls in your...
Gonna throw this one in the D tier. Okay, next up is the What the F does that say? Whatever the case, it doesn't look good. This is a D tier. Moving along to the Koa Wood Axe. I'm sorry, but That is not an axe. That looks more like an oar. And even if it is an oar, it's not very effective, because there's a gaping hole in the middle of it. Like, that's going against the purpose. This goes in F tier for both the axe tier list and the oar tier list. Next up is the La Guitarra. I'd just like to take a moment to apologize to the millions of Hispanic people that I just offended by calling it the La Guitarra. I'm sorry, I can't roll my tongue. Anyways, I love this skin. It reminds me a lot about Coco, which is a film that I watched a lot thanks to my 8th grade Spanish teacher. Shout out to you, Senora Young. Your Coco addiction has not been forgotten. You know, come to think of it, she was actually a big Shakira fan too. I wonder how she took the news. That aside, I'm putting this in S tier. You could say that this skin makes me go un poco loco. I don't know why I make these jokes. Next is the Laughing Skull. Now, I'm gonna ignore the fact that this skin's name is literally clickbait. It says Laughing Skull. The skull is not laughing! However, the skin itself is pretty cool, so I'd say it's a good B tier. Moving on to the Love Affair. Let me tell you, I'm definitely not having a love affair with this thing. This is gonna get a C tier. Next up is the Macho King. Now, you guys know who this axe is from, right? So you'll completely understand when I tell you I'm putting this in F tier. This could be the coolest axe skin ever made, and I would still give it F tier because it's Macho Man's axe. Okay, next up is the Magni. Another plain skin? Shocker. Let's throw in D tier. Up next is the Manta Blade. Okay. What is this? Where did you even find an axe like this? Ohio?
100 down in Ohio, swag like Ohio.
The Ohio axe gets an F tier. Next up is the Monstrous Aura. I think this skin looks amazing. I don't have any complaints really. This gets an A tier. Moving on to the Mortal Coil. Yes, I know, haha, funny pun. This gets a B tier. Next is the Painkiller. Dang, what a cool looking skin. Especially with that maybe or maybe not FDA approved serum inside of it. I give this an A tier. Next is the Panic Maker. I gotta say it, that skin does not make me panic. If someone tried to threaten me with that, I'd just be laughing at them.
Wallet, now.
Oh, this is awesome. You've got to be kidding me. Hold on, okay? I'm gonna set this down.
This definitely gets a D tier. Moving on to the Permafrost. As I said before, I'm a sucker for ice skins, although this one's a bit worse than the last one, so I'll give this a B tier. Next is the Phoenix Wings. I like this skin. It might be simple, but it's got a very clean design to it. I'll give it a B tier. Next up is the Polar Polyaxe. The name of this skin sounds eerily similar to Polar Express, and the existence of this boring skin is disgracing the name of that movie, so I have to give this a D tier.
You guys want to hear Sicko Mode or Mobamba? Huh? Sicko Mode or Mobamba.
Next is Rick's Hatchet. To be fair, this is the most honest axe skin ever. What is it? A hatchet. Who owns it? Rick. No explanation needed. Moving on to the Ritual Blade. Oh boy, another skin where I have to spend 5 minutes contemplating how this even became an axe skin. Look at it, how can that pass as an axe? This'll have to be an F tier. Next is the Royal Crescent. It's ugly, okay? E tier. Next up is Rust. Wow, what a great concept for an axe skin. Instead of killing them with a manly axe swing, you get to kill them after they contract tetanus. Is that really what we want, guys? Tetanus? This is going right to the F tier. Next up is the Shredder. I like what it's going for, but the execution is a little underwhelming. I'll give this a C tier. Next up is the Skyforged Axe. As I alluded to earlier with the Goldforged Axe, I like Skyforged better, so this is just gonna get an automatic A tier. Moving on to the Snow Shovel Axe. As a Floridian, I've never had to deal with shoveling snow, so that's a big L on all you northerners. That being said, this skin is very unique and pretty awesome. I'll give this an A tier. Next is the Soul Cleaver. Why does the entire skin look like it was made out of dirt and mud? That's not very appealing. The only redeeming quality of this skin is the tiny gem in the center, but that's like 5% of the skin, so I can't give it much higher than a D tier. And then we move to the Soul Render. This looks bizarre, to say the least. Yeah, this is gonna have to be an E tier for me. Next up is the Spitebringer. Yep, as expected, nothing of interest. Let's just move on. And you know what? Same goes for the splitter. I mean, boring name, boring design, boring colors, it's just E tier. We're gonna move on to the spring cleaning. Honestly, if the wood didn't look so weird, I'd give this a better rating, but instead I'll just be sticking this in C tier. Next up is the star render. I can't find much to say about this other than the fact that it looks a lot like some skins that I put in the C tier, so therefore, it's going in the C tier. Next up is the sunset axe. I feel like I've run out of things to say when it comes to a boring skin, so... Moving on to the terror bite. Since the word terror is in this, I thought it would be a pretty scary skin. And you know what? It is. It's horrifying, because it's another C tier. I don't want to look at these anymore. Next up is the Abyss. Oh god, this looks like the Ohio Axe 2.0. I'm quickly putting this in C tier before that stupid song starts playing in my head. Oh my god, I can barely fit the tier list in the screen anymore. What am I supposed to do? As TrippedUp looked at the rest of the skins, something dawned upon him. The rest of the skins were pretty mid. There was only one or two in there that were actually somewhat decent, one of them even being an S tier skin. However, the rest of them were so unnoteworthy that there was no reason in even continuing. So instead, please enjoy this montage of the rest of the tier list rankings. And there we go. Jeez. 113 different skins I just ranked. I'm not okay. Well everyone, that's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe. And happy Halloween! Sorry this video took so long to get out. You know, I've been busy, but at the same time, I definitely have been putting my full effort into making videos, so I'm gonna try and change that, okay? We're getting close to the end of the year, and I realized I haven't put out as much videos as I wanted to, so I'm really gonna try and get as many out as I can, cause, you know, it's what I enjoy doing. I've just been busy and also procrastinating, as always. Anyways, I'm out of here.